Our guest today I guess you could call him a passive income guru. He probably doesn't want me to use that phrase, but Jeremy Mura is somebody who we know as a customer of Rounded. He approached me, and this is beginning to happen more and more, to say, look, I'd love to be a part of the webinar. I think I've got some great things to be able to share with the community. And so having spent the last couple of weeks talking to Jeremy about his business and what he does, I'm really excited to be able to share this with you all. So Jeremy is a brand identity designer and content creator. So that's the mainstay of his business via his company, Mura Design Co. But also he's a top teacher on Skillshare. And if you don't know what Skillshare is, we'll be looking at that later on with 23,000 students that subscribe to his content on Skillshare. And his YouTube content has also generated, in excess of 730,000 views. So welcome, Jeremy. Great to have you.
Thanks so much, Oliver. I really appreciate it. Super excited to be on today and be talking about passive income. Appreciate the introduction and yeah, excited to get into it, man.
Jeremy, it would be awesome perhaps for you to just explain a little bit more about your brand design business, and what's the balance between that and passive income, and how, just tell us about how you got started with that other side of your business.
100%. So I got a degree in graphic design at the end of 2015. So 2016 was really the start of me pursuing freelancing and running my own business on the side. And obviously I got experience, working with agencies and stuff like that. But yeah, as soon as I finished college, it was my, idea. I was really inspired by watching entrepreneurs online, and I really wanted to, propel my own business because it's a lot more fulfilling. And I started off with just YouTube, and then it expanded from there. But yeah, I started off doing freelancing for local clients, based in Australia, which was really cool. Like a lot of small to medium-sized businesses, and really different industries as well. And then on the side, I was, creating content at nighttime. Just started with YouTube tutorials, and then it eventually grew from there. And I saw potential, and I really, my goal wasn't just to make money. It was actually to help people add value to the world and actually teach beginners so they can do what I was doing. So it's been a journey over these past, 5 years of designing, but I've really loved every bit of it. And yeah, that's how I got started into it. I was always into, creativity, and I was always into business. I studied business in high school, which was pretty cool. So I learned a thing or two. But yeah, just started consuming content and just learning about running my own thing. But yeah, now it's just evolved, and I'm really, really happy what I'm doing today.
Awesome. Well, that's interesting to know how that all developed. So I think to start with, perhaps many people who are attending the webinar today may not know what passive income is, or may think they have an idea, or have even a negative perspective or perception on what passive income actually entails. So could you perhaps give us a definition and perhaps a couple of examples of what it might be?
Definitely. The way I see passive income is pretty much an asset that generates recurring revenue over a period of time. Typically, it can be a monthly revenue or a yearly thing, but it's just a recurring revenue stream. That's all it is. A lot of people have a negative stigma around it because, you see these entrepreneurs on the beach somewhere with a laptop, and they sell you this stuff. They sell you this dream or this image of like, yeah, you can just earn money and live on the beach, but it's not the entire truth. It is a partial truth, but obviously there's hard work and effort involved in passive income, but it's a long-term investment. And once you invest in building that asset or product or program, whatever it is, then it would generate money over a long period of time, and it builds up exponentially. That's the good thing about it. As long as you're still working on the business and working on those assets, then it's going to generate income over a long period of time. So that's how I see passive income. And I believe anyone can do it. Doesn't matter where you're from in the world. Anyone can start today. We have the power of technology and the internet. So to me, I don't see any excuses. You know what I mean?
Great. Okay. Well, maybe just to take that to the next level, before we get sort of more deeply into the mechanics and how you do it,
Yeah.
perhaps you could share with us some examples of your own, your own presence, the passive income that you generate, the content that you generated or created to do that. And I know you've got a couple of examples. So maybe if you want to share your screen so people can see what is it that you're doing right now, and perhaps maybe talk also about the differences between the platforms that you use for this.
Definitely 100%. So I'm just going to share my screen real quick, and then I'll start off with this. So as you can see here, this is my Skillshare courses. So you can see, obviously, there's nothing to hide here, and it's not about ego or anything, but you can see how much money I've generated over, the past 3 years of doing it, 3 to 4 years. You can see the amount of students, and that's just the back end stats. But all I was doing is pretty much, this is one of my key streams that key passive income streams. And all I do is teach my knowledge. So you can see on my profile here, I got different classes, it's mainly revolving around logo design, branding, how to do textures, freelancing. So it's within my niche. It's all within that category that I'm teaching. And, all my knowledge that I've learned over the years from, college and running my business has really helped me, create this stuff. So, you can make products out of your knowledge, or an idea, you can sell products. So I'll show you my creative market account. So you can see here, here's some of the earnings as well from that. So you can see anything is actually possible. If you believe and put your mind to it, you can actually achieve it. So I've actually sold 500 products, which is really cool. And you can see when I first started, pretty much, I think it was, end of 2016, had a big spike and I was promoting. Then I get trickles in. So over time, I get money here and there. And you can see all the sales. But with this, all I do is sell old products. So maybe if you're an illustrator, you can sell old illustrations from a client project, or maybe you're a logo designer and you did a logo for a client, but it didn't get accepted. You can actually resell that in a pack or something. So if I show you here, you can see some of the template packs I have. I've got a logo template. I've got texture packs. I've got icon packs, even mock-ups and stuff. And you can see it's only like $15, $20, but if 100 people buy a $10 thing, that's a decent amount of money. That's $1,000, or you know what I mean? So even though it looks small, but it makes a difference in the long run. So that's my products and my courses. And then another revenue stream I have is actually YouTube. So you can see here on the left here, you can see the estimated revenue. Obviously it's not 100% accurate, but over the past 2 to 3 years, I've been generating around $100 to $200 a month on YouTube itself. And that just purely comes from ads. So I can see the amount of money I've been earning here, monthly revenue estimations. And you can see my top earning videos. So the videos that the algorithm push up and have more views, then obviously I'm getting more money because people are watching the ads there. So obviously I don't just do YouTube for just for revenue, but it allows me to, create more content and develop my passive income streams instead of just focusing on client work or whatever. So you can see here some of my content on YouTube. I do tutorials. I talk about branding. I talk about using Illustrator and Photoshop, and really helping beginners, get jump started. I even have a video on Rounded, as you can see here. That's not affiliated, but you know what I mean. And yeah, just creating content, helping designers really, kickstart their career and their business just by doing these things. And I have a few other streams like affiliate marketing, which is pretty cool. But those are my three main streams, and I believe you can get started today as well.
So just to understand the differences. So you've got Skillshare, which is for courses and in-depth education.
Yes.
You've got what was the other one?
Creative Market, which is like digital products.
Digital assets. So again, you're repurposing and reusing where it's appropriate to do so, work that you've done previously, and people will pay good money for that. And then you've got YouTube, and which is obviously giving you advertising revenue because people are watching your videos. And in terms of that, do you use, would you use YouTube? Do you see that as a sort of a top of the funnel type of tool as well, in terms of I can put little snippets on and sort of draw people in as almost a shop window to bring them into, my other areas to actually physically purchase my products? Yeah,
100%. I definitely use YouTube as my top level funnel. So it pretty much brings in leads. It brings in brand awareness as well. But obviously, I'm generating free content on there. So that brings people in, and it's not in a salesy way or whatever. It's just like, I'm actually providing value with my courses. They're not just like some crappy courses. I'm actually teaching people, how I create stuff. And I've learned that over the years, right? Which I've put in effort. So definitely I would use, free content as a way to, pull people and promote my other stuff. Then I'll put like just trailer videos. So you could do like a quick 30-second, 1-minute trailer of your course or your product. And I wouldn't spam it as much, but here and there, maybe once a month or once every fortnight, I'll just, send the updates. Or maybe if I'm launching something, and I'll do like a weekly thing for a couple of weeks or a month, just to build up the awareness of that product. And then I'll upload that video on there. And then pretty much I'll just put a targeted link in the description. So if people want to find out more, they can click the link and go to my online course. So definitely 100%. That's how I typically use YouTube. But I also love making content and videos as well, tutorials. Not only am I learning myself because I'm solidifying my knowledge, but I'm helping others along the way. And it just really helps my business and helps my brand overall.
Yeah, and I mean, you can see as well that it's generated, tangible income for you over the course of a few years. So, yeah. Okay, well, now we kind of understand a little bit more about what passive income is. Mm-hmm. If you're somebody on this podcast or webinar, you're a creative of some sort, and you think that you have something that is of value to other people, but you perhaps don't have a lot of time because you've got a busy business. You aren't quite sure where to start. You don't have perhaps a lot of money to invest in expensive tools or whatever. Yeah. Give us an idea of how you can get started, or and even tell us how you got started with this in a way that allows you to either dip your toe in the water, try a few things, or just begin to build an audience to I guess to showcase what it is that you do.
Yeah, definitely. So for me, I used to live at my parents' place, and I actually started YouTube from my bedroom. And the reality was I actually shared a room with my brother for 22 years of my life. And the thing is, while I was doing YouTube, right, but at the same time, my brother would, need the room as well. So we'd have to balance the time. When I was, need to record something, I needed people out of the house or out of the room. So that's one of the truths or the realities I had to experience. So whatever the situation you're in, you can make it work if you're really determined it can work for you. So I started off with YouTube, and I was just I just used basic tools. So I had an internet connection. I had my PC that I built about 6 years ago. If you have a laptop, maybe you have a MacBook or just a laptop, you can start off with that. I had an internet connection. My dad bought me a camera for one of my birthdays. I think it was my 20th or 21st birthday. And I was just using that to record my YouTube videos. I also had a little Logitech webcam, which was enough to do the job. And sometimes I'd actually use my own iPhone. I had an iPhone 5 and then I upgraded to iPhone 7 or whatever. And I just was using that to record some videos or screen recordings, just like that. So you don't need expensive gear. Obviously, as I started making more money, I started investing in as you can see, I got a Rode microphone here. I got a better PC. I invested in headphones and stuff like that. But if you just have those, basic things, an internet connection, a computer, some video editing software, or creative software like Adobe Creative Cloud, or maybe even Canva if you're not a designer, then you can really create something just with those basic tools. And there's so many free tools these days. For example, I use Camtasia for my video recording, my screen recording, which costs about $100, but there's a free program called Loom. And with Loom, that's a free screen recording. You can also use OBS Studio as well. So you can actually, those are free programs you can actually use to record your screen. And, you can create a course, you can create a tutorial, you can do so many different things. But yeah, that's how I would suggest to get started. Just use what's in your hand. Use what you have right now. You got a phone. If you have a window, use the natural light or even a lamp. And don't worry about the quality straight away. Just focus on action, because quantity leads to quality. So over time, it's just going to get better automatically. So yeah, that's what I would say to that. And how they can get started with just those basic tools, basic gear.
Okay, so minimum requirement then would be a laptop or computer of some sort, possibly a webcam or recording device, which with most even basically modern computers will have, and of course an internet connection. And you know, even a YouTube channel is free to set up, right?
That's right. Correct. Yep. 100%.
Yeah, awesome. So that's the tools that needed. So let's talk about the time investment, okay? Because obviously, again, 3 or 4 years on, you're at a stage where you've got a critical mass of content. You've learned from some mistakes, and you know, I guess you've probably settled on a brand and a style, which is great. But you know, you did sort of mention up front in your introduction that it did take you know, quite a bit of you know, time investment to begin with to kind of get everything going. And so talk to me about I guess how much time, but also how you balance that with building the other part of your freelance business.
Yeah, definitely. Like, to be honest, it is a lot of time and effort. And because I have a client services business as well, sometimes it can be hard to manage. But because a lot of my portion of my income comes from my passive income streams, I actually have to invest a lot of time into that. So typically I would focus that part of my business during the start and ending of the week, and focus on client work during the middle parts of the week. I also work pretty long hours, but I enjoy what I do. It's something I love. I work like, you know, to late hours, not heaps late, but I tend to work at night a bit as well, which I believe is totally fine. But yeah, like with the courses, it takes a lot of time of editing. So, you know, typically you'll record in, you know, over a period of 2 days, and then you'll take a whole day of just sitting down and editing for, like, sometimes it'll take me like 4 to 5 hours of editing, and coming up with the ideas. Sometimes it's not that hard because I'm active in my Instagram community and, you know, LinkedIn and YouTube and Facebook. I'm constantly getting ideas because people give suggestions and feedback, or they want to learn something. So I'm attentive to my community, right? And paying attention to what's trending or what's working in that regard. But yeah, typically courses take a lot of time. With products, you could probably pump out a product within a week. Like, if you really focus and sit down and allocate that time just to focus on that, then you can do it really quickly. One mistake that I didn't do was sometimes I didn't plan properly, like my descriptions, my modules that I have, what would be included. And I'd find myself like tweaking as I was going. I was taking action, which is the most important part, just starting. But I find that if you really plan at the initial periods, then it makes it a lot easier to just like pump out the work and get it done. So especially another thing I want to mention as well is, like, with YouTube, a lot of people, if they start, typically they might give up after 3 months or 6 months, which is just not enough time for you to really develop and get in the workflow and get in the process. Because, you know, over the time you pretty much make mistakes, and then you improve your efficiency and process. Like, for me, it's really easy for me to edit a video. I can do it within a couple hours. So, but before, it used to take me like half a day or a whole day, you know? So you need to really just take action and observe what things you can improve, and what things are working, and focus on those things, so you can cut your time in half. But yeah, that's what I would say.
So that's a question of practice makes perfect, obviously.
Yeah.
Is there a sort of a dual benefit to doing all of this? Obviously, there's the direct revenue and audience that you build from your passive audience content, but does it help you generating leads for the other side of your business as well?
100%. I actually got a client from my YouTube channel, which was pretty cool. So there was a client from America. She was running a beauty brand, and she needed a logo design and some other little assets. And she found my one of my logo design tutorials because she was trying to figure out how to do it herself. And that's okay. Some people want to learn design and, you know, try and do stuff, you know, try and do it by bootstrapping, or maybe it's a cheaper option, just to, you know, test the waters. But she found my YouTube video. She saw my personality because I had my face in it, and I was talking about design and branding and logos. And she thought I was a friendly personality, and I looked professional because I had this professional designed channel. And then she actually emailed me and said, oh, you know, might as well, you know, email him, see if he can do a brand logo and identity for me. And then boom. And then I got that client, and she signed off, and I ended up doing that project for her. And it was a pretty decent project as well. And it's good. Like, with YouTube, like, and courses and all these things, it builds your credibility and authority in your industry. You know what I mean? So in the design industry, I'm seen as that expert, you know, on, you know, the brand identity or design or illustrations, right? So, and it can be in pretty much many fields. And that helps you get clients and generate leads. So that's just one example of how I gotten leads. I've also gotten leads from Instagram by posting content as well. So 100% social media works. If you do it right and, focus on your niche and put out quality, valuable content, over time, you're just going to, bring in those leads and get those amazing clients.
Okay. So I think, if you think about everything that we've spoken about right now, there'll probably be people in listening and watching who might be saying, it sounds like a lot of work. Like, would you say that is passive income really the best way to describe this? Because from everything that you've said, I mean, don't get me wrong, right? It sounds really worthwhile if you're prepared to invest the time in it.
Yeah.
But to me, it doesn't sound very passive.
100%. And, obviously there's misconceptions about passive income. But like, for example, I do make money, while I'm sleeping or while I'm not working, right? So technically that's a benefit to me, but you got to see it in the big picture of things. You shouldn't just see it as like, oh, I'm making passive income, or, I just have this thing. It's like, you got to think big picture about your personal brand. You're building something, right? You're building your business. So for me, I'm seeing it as I'm adding value to the world, to my community. I'm building my business. I'm also making money at the same time and learning at the same time and building my credibility. So it's all these things that you're building up, brick upon brick. It's like you're layering up. And yeah, like, obviously, like, to me, it is passive income, but I think, we have this, false idea of it. Like, pretty much I'm running my business. Like, I'm running a business. And I have, multiple assets or streams that, bringing in, the work, everyone hears the saying, like, don't just put your eggs in one basket, put it in multiple baskets, and that's what I truly believe. If you're willing to, obviously do the work, but there's nothing wrong with starting. For example, I had a friend the other day, that we talked a few months back, and he's a logo designer. He just specializes in logos, and he never thought about, thinking about starting products or a passive income or whatever. And then he decided to launch a shop of selling his old client logos that weren't used. And then he made his first sale. He launched it, and then he woke up in the morning and he had one sale just from taking that action. And he was like so shocked and was like, wow, this actually is real, But obviously he had to make the template. He had to package it all together. He had to create the page and create the shop and whatever. But in the end, like, you feel it builds your confidence and it builds your business and you just grow it's like self-development. You grow as a person. But yeah, that's just my opinion on that.
Fair enough. So I guess that's like anything else in the world. It may or may not be for you. If you're and guys, we will move to asking Jeremy some questions very soon. So if you do have any questions for Jeremy, please put them in the Q&A module, the chat module, or if you're on Facebook Live, please put them in the feed. We are monitoring that, and I will relay them. We'd love to see some. We'd love to see some questions. But if you're thinking about, okay, well, I'd like to give this a go, where do you start? Like, where would you start in terms of, at least making a good assumption as to, how you can work out what's in your professional capability that other people might be prepared to pay for?
Definitely. So, what I'll do, I would really reflect on yourself and reflect on maybe you're a freelancer or running a business and really see your strengths and, look at things that you can repurpose as content or package up. And obviously, like, I'm focused on the design industry, so I can't really speak much for other industries, but, look of, past client projects or look at some informational things that you can deliver to your clients. But if you wanted to get started, there is sites that, allow you to enable you to just, create the content and upload it instead of trying to start up your own website and do all this marketing and stuff. And I have a few suggestions here. So obviously there's Creative Market. There's Free Pick. So if you're a designer or illustrator or creative, you can sell like templates or assets or icons as well on Flat Icon. Shutterstock, maybe you're a photographer, you can sell your photos and you get a commission on people purchasing those photos from their subscription. You can go on Udemy as well. That's sort of like Skillshare, but people just pay a set price for your course. It's not a subscription model. It's just a set price. So Udemy is cool for courses, and it's really easy. They have tutorials to help you along. You can go on Society6 as well, and also Etsy. They're more product-based where you come up with an artwork or a design, and they place that artwork on a physical product like a pillow or a phone case, and then they sell that when someone buys it, and you get a commission off that, which is pretty cool. You can also do YouTube and affiliate marketing. So those are just some examples of sites you can start today. And you don't need to be someone with a crazy brand. Like anyone can become a teacher. Anyone can sign up for the platform and start, producing that content. But yeah, like those are just a few ideas, but really look at your strengths, look at what can work for you, but try and find things that, will take the least time, but will have the most return on investment. So you don't want to spend too much time doing something and then you sell it and then no one buys. So really research your market, understand pain points, start getting, researching. One good site I use for research is called Quora, where people ask questions. So you can look up questions for any industry, not just design, like whether it's real estate or marketing, whatever. People ask questions. So you can see what people are struggling with or what are the pain points. So then you can target or create a product based on that, whether it can be a $20 ebook or, a 30-minute course on like how to do a specific technique, skill, or an overall idea. But yeah, that's pretty much how I would approach it.
Okay, and final question for me is, if you've made an attempt to create something, is it do you purely look at sort of clicks and views and whatever, like, or how would you sort of begin to understand, is it worth me continuing to invest my time in this, or is there sort of, is it going to come good, or am I just, should I just be concentrating on client work and on what I know?
Well, definitely, like, I feel like there's nothing wrong with starting and giving it a go. You know what I mean? And then what you do, it's you test, you experiment, and you trial and error. That's how sometimes I approach stuff. Like if I see something working, I'll do more of that. If it's not working, then I got to mix it up. I got to reinvent what I'm doing, right? So that's how you sort of have to approach it. Just experiment. And like, obviously, I understand people might have families and stuff. Like I'm married myself. I have to make time for my, wife, and I also got a family as well. So I've got to make time for those things. But, at the end of the day, we have the weekend. You can invest time on the weekend, a couple hours here and there, maybe at night, a couple hours here and there. Like, there's plenty of opportunities. You just got to balance it and, prioritize it, and once you do that, then you're going to allocate that time to developing that product or researching or whatever. And even if it takes you like a couple months to do it, like that's totally fine. Like don't beat yourself up like, oh, it's not working or whatever, but just give it a go. It's a trial and error. And I guarantee you, when you make even just one sale, you feel so fulfilled and you feel so proud of yourself. And it's just an amazing feeling to be like, wow, like someone actually bought my product or course, and like that they're getting value from it. So you're helping someone. You gotta think of it like, if I can help one person change their life or be more efficient or more productive, and having that mindset, you're really gonna, have a positive impact on yourself and others. And I feel like that's how you should approach it. And don't worry too much about the numbers.
Awesome, thanks. Well, look, just a really interesting insight there. So guys, if you have any questions, now's the time to ask. Just while I'm waiting and giving you that opportunity to pop some questions in chat or on the Facebook live feed. Just to let you know that we will be bringing to you some really great webinars next week. We're doing a webinar on managing finances, and we're also going to be doing a webinar on April the 7th as well on upskilling and ways that you can, essentially develop new skills and increase the breadth of services and products that you can offer to your clients. So they will be coming soon. I think the other thing that will be good, Jeremy, is if you and I will collate a list of links of a lot of these platforms. And when we follow up with the recording, we can send around those links and resources so that you guys at home can have a look. So looking at the Facebook feed and looking at the chat feed, doesn't seem to be any questions. So you've obviously answered them all. You've obviously answered them all. So guys, if you do have any questions, we'll give you, a few more seconds to pop them in. But if there are none, oh no, Adam, he has a question. Must be typing furiously.
Awesome. Don't be shy, guys. You can ask me anything. I'll be open and transparent.
So whilst Adam is typing his question, maybe what's been the most successful product or course that you've created, and why do you think it's been so successful?
Cool. So one of my best courses is on Skillshare. It's called Logo Design for Beginners, and I have 9,142 students in that. So that's like my biggest course ever. And I feel like obviously Skillshare 3 years ago, it had creative content, it had a mix of content, but it was still growing as a platform. Now it has over 5 million members, which is crazy. But I feel like yeah, there wasn't too many logo design. Like there was a few tutorials, but not aimed at beginners. And I feel like I've sort of positioned myself in this niche where I aim at beginners. So people transitioning maybe from a different industry, maybe they're an IT person or a marketing guy and they want to move to design, or maybe they're just starting out and they're just coming out of college or going into college. I feel like I really aimed at beginners, and I feel like that's why it appealed to so many people, because people want to know the practicalities, and the strategies and the technical stuff of how to do stuff from scratch. And if you're just a beginning, don't know the tools, then you need that guidance. You need that step-by-step guide. And I feel like I'm really good at breaking stuff down. Sometimes I might talk a little fast, which I'll be honest, Australians talk fast. I don't know why. But yeah, and that's why I felt like it really worked for me. But yeah, it's just been really good. And I'm very thankful to God that I'm able to, create this stuff and generate income from it.
Awesome. So it sounds like that what's worked for you is obviously understanding your niche, which is great. And now we have a couple of questions. It's awesome. So the first one from Peter. Have you ever developed any physical products, or has it all been digital? And if you have, where do you start?
Good question. So I believe that physical products are the hardest to do. That's why I focus on digital purely. I haven't done any physical products. I just purely focus on digital. Just because you got to think about expenses and stuff. So like if you start a physical product, you have to think about storage. You have to think about, inventory. You have to think about, who's going to run the shop, how you're going to sell. You have to think about marketing. There's all this technical stuff with printing and manufacturers and all this stuff. It just gets too overwhelming. And especially for one person, like you can do it, but I've observed many people, in the industry, and I've heard stories, and I do a lot of research and reading. And I know a few people that started t-shirt companies in America and they failed. They didn't make any money. Yeah, it was a cool project. They learned from it, but at the end of the day, it wasn't making any profit. So you really got to think about, what's the easiest for you to do. And I feel like digital products is the way to go. Just find your niche and just focus on that. But yeah, like there's nothing wrong with giving it a go. You'll learn from it. Like my dad started an Amazon t-shirt business. He invested like $5 grand into it. I helped him do the logo and stuff like that, but he just wasn't making enough money because it's so saturated and the competition is high. So unless you have a really creative and like out there brands and have really good marketing, then it will be hard to sell those physical products. But it's just my opinion. Yeah,
cool. And actually that whole sort of concept of saturation dovetails and segues beautifully into the next question from Adam. And Adam, thank you so much for the great feedback on the webinar. And Adam asks, if there's already a bunch of video or courses in your industry, do you still think it's worth creating a new course or video? At what point, like, do you get lost in the tons of content that's out there on the internet?
100%. Like, at the end of the day, a lot of things are already being created or ideas have been imagined. So it's your job to reimagine it and add your own flavor into it and your own personality. So one course, even if it's the same topic, is going to be completely different to another course because they don't have my personality. They don't have my exact same knowledge. They don't have my way of delivering. They don't have my little shortcuts or tips. So I feel like don't get caught up in being like, oh, this has already been done. No, see how they did. Like I would study that course or video, and then I can see how I can improve on it and make it better, right? Because even if it's like a YouTube or a course, it's an evergreen thing. So it's going to be there forever until, the internet crashes or their platform crashes or whatever, right? So it's evergreen. It's generating like views and, all that attraction over time. So don't feel like, oh, someone's already done it. I just feel like you can learn from what someone's done, reimagine it, improve on it, make it better. And I feel like it can work.
Great, thanks. Now we'll go to the Facebook live feed as well, and we have a question from Leighton, and I think maybe Leighton's asking about the other side of your business.
Yep.
Do you do with your clients? Do you have retainer contracts, or do clients buy hours from you every month?
So retainer contracts, I think he means like services. Yes, I do have some retainers, especially at the moment. A lot of people want Instagram carousels. So that's pretty much content marketing. And I have like a monthly retainer for that. Typically it's like a package, like I'll do like 20 carousels for that month. And then obviously it includes like other elements and stuff. So yes, I do retainer contracts, but typically sometimes if it's just a brand identity or brand strategy, I typically just do the project and then hand over the project. And then obviously if they need stuff down the line, then I help them as well. Do clients buy hours from you? I'm not sure if he's talking about coaching or pricing. I don't price. If you're talking about pricing, I don't price hourly. I price based on the project or price based on the percentage of value they're receiving from the project. But I also do offer coaching as well, like a brand audit and stuff like that. If clients need assistance or an audit on their brand.
Awesome. Well, next question is from a gentleman by the name of Grant McCall.
Cool.
So for those of you who know, who are friends of Rounded, you'll know that Grant is the founder of Rounded and also a graphic designer and definitely very keen on developments in the industry. So Grant asks, how do you handle staying on top of changes, technology, and trends in the design world? I imagine current trends are a big thing when selling courses.
Definitely. Like, to be honest, obviously I pay attention to a little bit of trends, but I don't want to be known as that guy is just jumping on board of trends, because remember, trends fade away. So if you stay true to your core beliefs and your why, and that you're trying to help people, because that's what I believe, I'm adding value, helping people, then at the end of the day, you don't need to follow trends because people are going to follow you anyway. And especially if you're transparent and honest and open and, staying true to the core of your being, then really people will follow you, and you'll develop fans naturally. But obviously, like, for example, recently I started learning Webflow. Webflow is a new startup where you can build websites, and it's in between like WordPress, Wix, Squarespace, but it's in between, and it's very good. And how I learned that is I had a course. So pretty much I invest a lot of money into books and courses and stuff myself. So when I get my passive income, I'm not just like going out and spending money and whatever. Yeah, I do travel and take my wife out and stuff, but I actually invest it back into my business. So I'll buy courses, I'll buy books, stuff like that, right? I'll buy products, I'll buy plugins for my Illustrator and Photoshop and stuff like that. But yeah, I had a course on Webflow, and then I went through that, and then yeah, now I'm on Webflow, and I moved away from WordPress just by investing that time and money on just doing that course. And now because I see Webflow as the future of web designing. Like, it'll be the normal thing, like how WordPress was, but like Webflow is like it's more futuristic and technological based. So yeah, I just saw I perceive the future, really ask myself my questions like, okay, where is this heading? You got to look ahead 5-10 years and then invest that, and then invested my time into learning it. And then now I have that skill now. I can use Webflow for clients. Hope that makes
awesome.
sense.
That's great. And finally, from Adam, who asked a question before, but the final question, I think, he said, you mentioned about video quality. I don't have much video equipment or sound equipment, and I can't really afford it just yet. Do you think video quality is important for someone starting out? I'm super keen to create videos, but I'm really worried about the quality, at least to begin with.
Cool. So I will say this, audio is more important than video quality. If it's tutorials, obviously, you want to be able to see the screen clearly and stuff, which is fine. But yeah, audio is more important because obviously these days people listen to podcasts, right? They're used to hearing audio messages. So on YouTube, they can plug it and play it and listen via audio, or a podcast, or, play in the background while they're in the car, right? So I feel like audio is more important than video quality. But also, yeah, like I wouldn't worry too much about the video quality. As I said before, quantity leads to quality. If you go on my YouTube channel, you'll see my first video from like 2016. It was really bad. The lighting was bad. Like, I was in my cramped little corner with a little desk and a little lamp. I didn't even have a proper mic, but I still did it and I learned from it. But like, there's so much cheap stuff out there. Like, you can get a little mic from Amazon for $20. It's called a Boya, and it's a lav mic where you can plug it straight to your camera or your phone and put it on your shirt, and like the quality is really good. So you don't really have to invest a lot of money. You just, do research. Well, obviously I can give all of us some links to some of the stuff that I have. You can get a phone tripod for $15. I'm sure like cut down on Netflix or cut down on pizza or something, and you can buy that gear because it's going to pay off later on, right? So yeah, that's what I think about that.
Perfect. Well, look, at that juncture, Jeremy, I think we'll call it to a close. We will send round links, and I'll collate all of that sort of great information into a follow-up email for you all who've registered, and even if you weren't able to attend. So, Jeremy, on behalf of everybody who's joined us in the Zoom room, on quite a few people that joined us also on Facebook Live, thanks for taking the time, putting the work into to design this webinar today with us, to spend your time and expertise and give everybody an insight into using not so passive income to generate more business. If you'd, perhaps there's some more topics that we can circle back around on for another webinar down the track, and we'd love to have you back. So for you guys, we'll be back next week and the week after. We'll be doing a few more webinars over the course of the next couple of weeks, just to keep you all entertained whilst you may be working from home. And we'll follow up in a couple of days with a recording, so you can look back and watch all of Jeremy's advice on passive income. So until next time, cheers, guys. We'll see you soon.
Thanks so much, man. Take it easy, guys.